can't hear anything.
Manager Locke, are we live yet?
Okay.
Yeah, you're live.
Sorry.
Let's continue. Go ahead, I'm sorry. There was somebody online asking, they couldn't hear.
Oh, I'm sorry.
That's okay.
1 out of 10 cars stopped at the stop sign. 1 out of 10. There's children across the street and all around that area. They fly down Cotton, they take a fast turn on the nice, heading toward Greenwood, trying to beat the traffic so they don't have to stop at the light at York Road and then they'll go down Greenwood. It's dangerous and it's costing me a lot of money. So money is important, but it's not as important as the safety of for the children there. And I had a conversation, yes,
That's okay. I forget your last name.
Jeffrey Backle.
Packle. I'm sorry.
And I've talked with Tom about it, and with all respect, Tom and Blue Sports here, and I know it's not an easy job. I do want to say this. I've asked for to have a police officer on that corner, and we want off the corner a little bit. And I've seen one police car, and I walked up to him and I introduced myself and I said, I live here, and I told him the story, and I haven't seen another one since. And John asked me when is it let traffic most there? I said usually between 4 and 6. And then in the morning, it's also there between 8 and 9. I've seen a police officer there, and I'm nothing against Tom. He's a good guy and he does a good job. It's not an easy job, so I hope I didn't offend you, Tom.
Can I just make a comment? We actually had a very nice conversation. I went out and looked at the intersection. The issue right now is that we have in the ordinance and we have the ability to put in Cotman Street to be no truck allowed based on the tonnage and all of that. So we'll have to talk to our traffic engineer just to make sure that we're within compliance. I think that will help to resolve a lot of that issue. We are also stepping up enforcement in that area to make sure. We also identified that there's probably an issue with the timing on the traffic lights on York Road, which is causing backups regularly every day. We hope to have that resolved fairly quickly. That may help with this overload of traffic that's cutting through. But the issue is we're going to have to bring it to your attention for a vote so that it can be added to the list. Currently, there's only one street that has a no trucks allowed, and that is Washington Lane, even though there are several signs that are posted within the borough that are not streets that are listed in the ordinance. So we will have to address that and make sure that we bring that to council's attention to make sure that all those streets are listed within our ordinance.
Thank you.
Thanks. And it's on we have this again to talk about already on the agenda for
Yep.
later in the meeting during the public safety times. We're going to talk about this. It's in the agenda.
Do I need to stay here?
You don't have to. We
No,
can,
I know, but it's going to be pertinent to what I discussed.
No, I think we hear you and we're going to address it.
Oh, it's about one.
Yeah. Oh,
Your state's listed as an item for discussion for tonight.
What's that?
It's listed as an item for discussion under public safety.
I did a thing with it.
No,
Did a great,
no.
you did a great job.
Appreciate it.
And last thing I wanted to be on the bad side.
No, you're.
Chief Scott has learned to develop a thick skin.
thank you, sir. Is there any other public comment? Yes, ma'am.
Hi,
Hi.
I'm Monica. I'm at it's a Goldie. She's at a prop. I didn't have a babysitter. On a 200 Summit, and I also have a traffic comment. I wanted to echo that corner is awful. We go there near gymnastics sometimes, so I hear you. I have my own traffic problem. First I want to say thank you to Eliza and George who got a digital like speed limit sign. Done wonders. Like I sit in that room and watch and people hit the brakes all the time for it and I love it. We have some concerns on the block and I told my neighbors and I just wanted to say them. I think our biggest problem on Summit right now is that between the train station and Highland, there aren't any crosswalks. So you have a ton of new families, a bunch of kids. And there's no way for them to cross in a crosswalk unless they go down to where the train station is or up to Highland. So one of our main concerns, we love a crosswalk that goes across Summit and one that goes across Wyncote, because right now when you cross Summit over Wyncote, there's no crosswalk. We've also talked about, we would all love to see a reduced speed at the curve. We feel like there's some blind spots coming up and down. Right now it's 25. And then we know there's a similar part in Cheltenham that does kind of the same thing. It goes to 15 that we've all thought was effective. So we love that. We've also talked about additional speed bumps. And I know this sounds very expensive and I appreciate that. Because the speed bumps that we have two. It's a pretty big stretch and it does slow people down, at least until they race to the next one. So that we love the one. We love the pedestrian crossing signs. What we've seen and liked a lot are the kind of ones that come up to about here. And they're kind of like standing in the crosswalk. And from the research we've done, they seem cheap. And they seem effective. And I'm not a traffic engineer, but I hope that that's true. And the last thing we talked about is that the lighting is pretty dodgy on the street. I'm at the corner of that Summit and Wyncote. Since I've been in there, we had a FedEx truck take down a sign. My late car was totaled. And someone hit our wall, actually. Like they just completely missed the curve. So we have lighting out in our yard, but I think the lack of street light there might be causing some issues too. But yeah, so like that, I might get out of here before the next traffic discussion, depending on how she goes, but thanks, guys. It's
Well, yeah, that's on we have that on our agenda as well. I appreciate you coming in, and bringing that to our attention. And I also appreciate that you offered solutions to solve.
I'm obsessed with the traffic.
Okay.
I'm obsessed with traffic
All
on
right.
the hillside, and now I'm obsessed with traffic on Summit. When I'm moving out, I'll be obsessed with traffic on that street too.
Yes, then you might want to say
I
something.
just wanted to say, I appreciate your solutions as well, or recommendations. We did immediately take the traffic engineer out there who made observations. He has a sketch to share tonight on some of the improvements that we could make out there. As you know, the speed humps can only be put in so many feet.
Yes.
We can't. They don't meet the criteria to put more speed humps in that area, but one of the solutions we came up with was to make it a pedestrian crossing where they would like one. It does make sense. It's nice to go down to the controlled intersection at the train or at Highland, but quite frankly, you're gonna run across the street if you're a kid. So we looked at a pedestrian crossing there, but we're thinking that we could make it a raised crosswalk.
Like a speed
It's
table.
basically a speed
I
hump
love those speed tables.
with a crosswalk on the top of it.
Uh-huh.
And then you could put your signage that you need there, mark the pavements. So you get a real good benefit out of that. And it's on the sketch to show you tonight as a proposal. The crosswalk right at Wyncote's a little difficult, but there is a crosswalk, not at it's 10 feet back from the intersection. We're paving that section of Wyncote now. Pico's gonna pave it in the next couple of weeks. So we put in add a stop bar at Wyncote. 200 feet up double yellow? Yeah, just 50. 50 feet of double yellow, so when you're coming up Wyncote through Summit, you get a sense of where you're supposed to be in your lane. And then doing Piano Keys crosswalk across Wyncote, so people will see where the crosswalk is actually at. There's already ramps there. So all that going on at that intersection, the chief went right out and put up his digital sign that was mentioned that tracks traffic, it tracks speed. So we'll have a full report on everything that's going on out there to assist us with that. One of the things we're looking at is the county 2040 grant. We've gotten 2 or 3 of those. We've been successful with them. I've already talked to the county about it. And we applied to get that at the Runnymede Walnut intersection, and they said, we didn't get it. And they said, you need to be more broad-based. We want to help the whole town, not just one intersection. So what we brought to them this time was, we brought them this intersection. We brought them Vernon and Vista, the improvement that we had for there, Walnut and Washington. So we have like 4 places in town that need this kind of improvement. We're gonna put it together as one project and submit that for a grant application with them. And that is a 14%, 20%.
20%.
It'd be a 20% match. So to get $150,000 below 30, we'll have to pay 30 out of the borough towards it. But it'll fund the majority of all this improvement. So the county planner is gonna help us put that together and make it a successful application. But we'll be sharing that sketch that we have. We'll have showed it tonight, and we can email you what we have. It's just preliminary.
That's like, that's amazing. My girls, and 3 little girls up the street, and we're always freaking out about it. And thank you so much. The digital sign has done so much. Thank you.
We're gonna put a second one up, it's just, I have.
It's
Big
been,
enough bolts.
sit there all day and watch it. It's all effective. It's like, it has changed the block.
That's great.
Wow, great. Good.
That's
Okay,
all I have.
thank you. Thank you.
Right.
Senator Watt. And Councilman Wildlife as well.
No, not you.
Is there any other public comment? Manager Lock, are you aware of any public comment by way of social media
There's none in the chat room and no email on
or email?
it. No, sir.
That was email.
No, sir.
Sorry, someone was not sure. Stay up there. Okay, we'll move on to reports. Jenkintown Fire Department Chief Lynch.
My reports were submitted, design questions that we have to answer. Looks like there is a discussion point in the agenda later on that, we'll pick up with.
Okay.
So,
All right, thank you. Second alarmer is Rich Garrett. Is Rich here? Not here. Okay, Rich is not with us this evening. Police Department Chief Scott.
Thank you, President Connors. I've submitted my report to all the council members. We had 977 calls for service in September. Obviously, we participated in the parking meeting, and we're looking forward to scheduling a second parking meeting to deal with parking permit regulations, and also to modify anything within the ordinance that we submitted as a draft to Borough Council. We're also working and waiting for the DCD report to come back. I'm proud to say that we're going to be a participant in Trunk or Treat on October 27th. And it's something fun to do. If you haven't seen, we have 2 dedicated crossing guards that get dressed up for Halloween. So they're planning on attending and dressing up and giving out treats to the kids that show up, along with one of our officers, and we'll have our new police car there.
Oh, great.
We'll also be here, obviously, at Fall Festivals this Saturday, and forward to be a part of one of that. Already addressed about the speed signs that we placed. And we're gonna be in the 100, 200 block of Summit, both directions. We're presenting to the council tonight draft policies regarding code of discipline, code of ethics, and code of conduct. We've also submitted them to the PBA for their information and also feedback. We were notified by Axon, who is our body camera and taser and in-car camera, that our Taser 7s actually had a mechanical flaw, so they replaced them without us asking for them to be replaced. So we're in the process of transitioning and reissuing the new tasers to all of our staff. We've had a few officers attend training. One attended training today, which is a pretty important training for us. It's called the Cato Officer Training, and it's Community Anti-Threats Officer Program. It's put on by the FBI. It's a field office out of Harrisburg. Officer Welsh attended that today. Officer Tuffy attended search and seizure training from the PA DUI Association, and he's also scheduled to attend a week-long training. It's a leadership class put on by the FBI LEADA. That is in November. And then Fire Marshal Lynch and myself attended training. Was the EDITS conference, which is put on by the Eastern Montgomery County Emergency Management Group. We've put this conference on for the last every 2 years for the last, I want to say 18 years. I'm a part of the committee that organizes it. We have hosted at Normandy Farms Hotel, and some of the topics and presentations, it was over 2 days, but we had the Buffalo Police Department, presented about the blizzard that occurred up in Buffalo, where 52 people passed away as a result of the blizzard. We also had the East Palestine, Ohio train derailment presented, the Chester County manhunt for the convicted murderer, the July 4th active shooter incident in Highland Park, Illinois. They also had a speaker who speaks to the FBI and FBI LEDA and all the FBI Academy with regards to strategic communications and media training. And then they also, our final speaker was a retired Marine who also was a public safety professional who provided pretty robust training regarding public safety professional wellness and talked about suicide awareness. He was actually a fireman in a section in North Carolina where 6 firemen died in a fire and a building collapse, and it was one of his best friends. He tells a pretty telling story about how he tried to commit suicide at least 3 times. Twice he put the gun in his mouth and pulled the trigger once, and the gun didn't go off miraculously. So pretty compelling information to be brought out for all the officers and public safety professionals attended. We are finishing up the one grant that we had for body worn camera. I finished the report today and submitted it. And we are in the process of posting all the crime statistics from 2020 to 2023 on our website. It was on my list of things to do, but just hadn't had a chance to get it done. But thankfully, our intern's pretty good with getting that type of information up on our website, and she's working hard to get that stuff done. If you have any questions regarding anything we talked about, we're happy to answer.
Thank you, Chief Scott. Public Works Department Foreman Briggins.
Good evening, I can hand up, all the worship reports. Couple things I just like to, highlight.
Parks Department?
Here we just released the 2024 leaf collection route, curbside leaf collection route. It was enhanced by the borough manager and a couple of administrative assistants. It's available online at the counter, should be in place. Also, over the last couple of months, all of the guys have been attending training for LTAP and PSAT. Couple more winter maintenance, stop signs, intersections, and traffic calming. Couple of those classes are accredited for IMS4 accreditation and inspection reports. They're required for that, so they'll do very well. Y'all got any questions or concerns on the evidence?
Okay, thank you, Foreman Riggins. Engineers report, Mark Dickerson from County Associates.
Good evening. Our report's been filed. I'm happy to expand on anything, but we have, I would say most of the items in our report are line items on the agenda later. So with the committee's permission, we'll just wait and discuss them further then.
Okay, that's cool.
Thank you.
Bye. Thank you. I'll move on to new business. Admin and Finance, Council Ballard.
Thank you, President Connors. The first item is the borough monthly reporting and an update. Mayor Lot.
I can give you an update, sir. We received late today the September borough monthly report from the accountant, which means we are now up to date on them and we'll be receiving them as we were supposed to. I know, you know, we were 2 months behind, then we were 1 month behind. But as of this month, we are now up to date on receiving prior month for this month's meeting.
Staff.
We'll have that report for you, council. We're providing for council.
The borough tax collection report and other staff. Manager Locke spoke about this during the budget meeting earlier. It's toward the end of the year. Most of the real estate and business taxes have been collected, and we're sort of in a downhill slope and anticipate collections happening as they should. Is that correct, Mr. Manager Locke?
Yes, it's about what's expected over the next 2 months. There'll be some more collected. There's still $327,000 that is uncollected. Two-thirds of that'll probably still be collected before the end of the year, hopefully, and then the rest will be being tax collected.
Okay. And March, the 2018 DCED Cedar Walnut Street project
Can you speak to that a bit?
Sure, yeah, so the stormwater, right?
Yes.
Yes, yes, so the project's substantially complete. We did the final inspection. At this point, we're just waiting for the contractor to complete the closeout paperwork. And we're hoping to have final payment request for council next week.
So I'm gonna move that we move to council next week, the engineer recommendation for payment on this contract.
Second.
Motion and a second. Are there any comments or questions? All in favor?
Can I just have-
Yes.
Sorry, I mentioned it. There will be a balancing change order in there as well. It's minor. It's just to kind of balance out quantities bid versus actual quantities installed. So it's not substantial. I just wanted you to be aware that that will also be on the agenda for this meeting.
Any opposed? Matters or not, please report to that as well.
Thank you.
The 2024 minimum municipal obligation for the borough to pay into pensions. And a couple of weeks ago, we received the state component of that, which was $2,329.76. That money goes to either the uniform pension or the non-uniform pension, it doesn't matter. And whatever balances remain or the boroughs to make up. So that's just a matter of transferring that money. I'm sure that money's already been transferred into pension funds.
Not yet.
Not yet, but it's on its way.
Yeah.
The
The issue is with the bank and the wiring of the money into it, getting the authorization for that. It's been a little bit of a holdup, but we plan to do it hopefully tomorrow.
The 2025 public budget meeting workshop schedule. The next meeting is Tuesday, October 29th, from 6 to 8 p.m. We'll be discussing several budget funds, including the general fund, which we discussed earlier today. By that time, a number of more final numbers will be available. We're thinking both about how this year closes out and what next year will look like. The Governor's Center for Local Government Services, the Strategic Management Planning Program. This is an opportunity that we've heard from DCED for the borough. It provides strategic financial management consulting support. The procedure is basically that the borough prepares an RFP defining what kind of support we would like to have. This office would, based on that RFP, decide how much to support the funding of that. But right now we are waiting on the completion of the DCED police report, which is nearing completion. And the results of that report will be one of the inputs into how we prepare an RFP for the second opportunity, if we decide to pursue it. So this is a sort of something that's developing in real time. I think we anticipate having final briefing of the police report within the next couple of weeks, if I understand it.
Councilor Bauer?
Yes.
The one thing I would add to that is this STMP program. If you participate in that, once you do the RFP and once you have your 5-year financial capital plan, from that, it opens up all the funding from the state and some federal funding to all their programs. It would give you a leg up on approval grants when you put in for it. So that's a real positive thing for everyone. I just wanted to mention that. Thank you.
Act 49 of 2024, the purchase of uniform pension service credit. This is something that Manager Lott spoke to earlier. This was recently signed into law by Governor Shapiro. What this does is it allows police officers who may have part-time or other service in a different organization earlier in their career, buy into their pension program to say if they were at 23 years with Jenkintown and had 2 prior years in an earlier agency, they could buy in to their pension program to retire at 25 at a 25-year pension. The officer doing this would pay into it, and the borough would as well. So the decision before us is whether the borough wants to participate in this. And we do, but we'd also like to be sure that the officers plan to do so as well. I think in your reports, Manager Locke and the actuary have done, looked into how many officers in the borough would qualify for this, or 4 officers.
We believe there's currently 4 officers that would qualify as,
And that sort of the timetable for them would fall in different years over the next 4 or 5 years, is that correct?
yes, I believe it's up to 6 or 2, over 6 years.
So
So there's
what,
certain times, I'm sorry, sir, because there's certain times that they can buy in, is that it, what?
They have to be
in
with-
over the 6.
The explanation that we received was that they have to be within the time period to their retirement date. So if they have 3 years
Okay.
that they want to buy back,
Okay,
they have to be within or close to that date of 3 years to be able
understand.
to
Okay.
advise the borough that they are interested in buying back that time. But we've never received a formal request from the PBA regarding this. So this is something that council should take under consideration, because this is based on the feedback that we've received. It's a bargaining issue.
Mhm.
So if they have not made any formal request to you, then it may not be worth acting on it yet.
yeah, that's going to be my suggestion. The total amount that the borough would be obligated for would be about $170,000-$180,000. Again, over the 6-year period. And so what I'm going to propose is that we don't have to decide on this week or this month. That we table it for now, and I'm going to ask Manager Locke to request a letter from the PBA stating that they request that the borough pursue this for their officers. And once we have that letter, then we can move forward in approving it ourselves. I don't know if we need to do a vote to give Manager Locke that instruction or not.
Excuse me, which would need a response for this?
No, the only, I'm sorry,
I mean, I don't know.
there isn't a cutoff date to approve it. But there is an officer that is, that's looking to retire in the near future. So he's affected by it. One officer is affected by it, the expediency of it. But all the information is in there that calls out the officers and a chart or flow chart of what and when you would expect them. Now, some of the officers are more time they're buying than the 2 years. It's 30,000 that's on there now. Some of them are $65,000. The one part of the bill allows you to pay that over a period of time. You don't have to pay it in a lump sum into the pension fund. So you should be aware of that as well.
If we, I know we're not gonna go on it tonight, but if we were to go forward with this, this is then a process that is permanent going forward? Or is it just for these?
You would have to adopt your ordinance or resolution, whatever the pension is done by, and you'd actually change that. So it would be in place. So it'd be for all future hires. It's not just for who's here now.
Thank you.
But it matters for the current
Mhm.
crew we have.
Right.
For 40.
I understand.
Is this,
Sure.
is this similar to the, like a drop program?
No, it is not.
It's-
This is similar to the if you're aware of in civil service, you can buy back your military service. And usually it's capped at 5 years. And that's what this is a similar engagement that
Okay.
they saw this as an issue. They were trying to make sure that they gave the opportunity for public safety professionals, specifically law enforcement, to be able to purchase back previous time that they may have served in a part-time role or at another department where they did not vest. But they're vested, they're not eligible to put in to purchase their time back.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Yeah, but
Yeah, I was just, I'm a little concerned about the financial impact. So you were explaining that it's about 175 to 200,000 over 6 years. Is that?
yeah, it's sort of episodically. So for example, for the officer who is looking to retire very soon, that would be an immediate cost,
Mhm.
both to the borough and to the officer. I'm not sure when, I mean, our packets have that timetable.
Yeah,
And
it's
I'm not
hard
sure
to read, so I'm just, I'm looking at the date, the graph.
The understanding that the actuary explained to George and I was that we would not have to pay that $30,000 all in one lump sum. We could pay it over a period of time. Because it's basically you're paying into the pension.
Yeah, but basically the reason I asked about, this time thing is because if you're making an offer, I think it's only fair to say, if you don't respond by this time, then that person wouldn't be eligible, correct?
Yeah, what you're saying makes sense.
Well, I included the Act 49 in your packet, so it'll explain what it is, but we are asking for clarification from our labor attorney on a couple things. We could add that to it.
Yeah, but essentially just clarification on if there are any quote unquote deadlines, just to.
Well, we had that clarified that there isn't a deadline for us to put it in place.
Well, but there might be for the person who.
Who has to elect.
That's all I'm
Right.
saying.
And I'm saying we'll add that to our questions and we'll get you your answer.
But I think the immediate thing we'd like to do is request the PBA. Just provide a letter stating that they would like council and the borough to act.
I agree, 100%.
So,
Direct.
you could make that request.
Take that direction.
I like the concept of it, and I just note that it would essentially increase our contribution to retirement by 50 to 75,000 each year going forward, probably.
On average,
Yeah,
but it's going to, it'll be lumpy.
I'm just thinking also we came out of a budget meeting, and so
Right.
need to put it in that budget line as well.
I don't think that that's the truth. I think you have to think about it as over the next 6 to 8 years. You may have people who want to elect this. It doesn't say that the officer has to.
Right.
So.
They have to
it's-
put in a chunk of money themselves as well.
They have to
right?
put in a
Yeah.
chunk of money. If they don't have the money, then,
Right.
and I believe theirs is not one of those where they can pay over time. They have to pay it right at that date.
Oh, they have to go up for me, okay.
So an officer's alternative would be to work out the full 25 years before taking down,
Yes.
rather than, okay.
Sounds like there's a lot of things moving around. a lot of
Right.
moving parts.
Which is why it would be good for us with clarification on it. That they want this, for their members.
I wonder if it would be considered like an attractive thing to have as we're hiring people down the line.
If you were someone that already had past experience.
Yeah, I don't know. Anyway, sorry.
And this is a brand new, are there comparable pieces of legislation in other states? You discuss?
Here's something original.
It's a great question. I know of at least one officer that I'm familiar with that will be trying to purchase back time that he served outside of the state. So I don't know whether there's others. I would assume that there's a variety of different ones, but I know the military service is common across the country.
Right.
So that they can buy back their military service.
That doesn't seem.
So I think, that's all we need to do right now. Have your luck. Make that request and, I think as soon as the request is. We have the letter, we can move forward. One way or the other.
Yeah.
Next item, the 2015 Police Department Interceptor Explorer was sold at auction just a few days ago for $5,000. And this completes 2024 surplus equipment liquidation. I think we've been successful auctioneers this year. Sold a number of things.
Municipal. Municipal.
Yes.
Did the fellow from Pittsburgh who drove here end up with it?
Well, nobody might because the lead bidder hasn't come and picked it up. So they might have to drive back from Pittsburgh and we get the call.
Yeah.
There are currently several openings available. The planning commission has received 4 letters of interest for 1 vacancy. And the civil service commission, the recreation board, the design review board, and the safety commission still have multiple vacancies. So again, these are nice opportunities to volunteer in the borough and keep an eye on things or help out with things that need, people's eyes and, attention shown to them. And the personnel policy procedure manual update, that is being done to, bring our borough documents into compliance with recent federal and labor laws. That continues. Manager Locke, I suppose.
You are correct, and we're coming real close to be able to bring that to committee. I think we have 2 items left, or 1 item left now. And they're working on the FMLA. And with that language, you have to have an HR professional that handles it. And we're reaching out to Divot to see if they have a department that handles HR for people. They have different departments there. They're a big organization. And we had discussed possibly having a third party for HR because we're such a small office and you really can't talk in here without everybody being involved in the conversation, even with shut doors. So we were looking at that aspect anyway, and this might be the opportunity to bring that in. So
Which would be a great idea.
Michelle has been working with the labor attorney and they're down to 1 comment on that, but we are going to look for that HR professional. But that language may be in the manual before we have that in place, but before we adopt it, we should have one in place.
Okay, thank you.
Just want to jump to, on the.
Ongoing business, the borough's financial billing and building code software, the borough is looking at, software from Edmunds Government Technologies. Manager Watt spoke about this during the budget meeting. And I think, that's the way, you are all leaning, right, Edmunds?
That is correct.
Of course, that comes with considerably higher costs than the software we use now. But, we're sort of an antique operation with our current software, so, do you know of any other municipalities that use AMS? Sure.
Edmonds just transferred a municipality from AMS to them. They're mostly with sewer authorities and not full municipalities. I don't know any. To answer your question directly, I think there might be 1 or 2 left.
Yeah.
But it's mostly sewer authorities.
Right to know requests, that still, something that's going on.
Yeah, mostly right now, it's just commercial businesses requests that come in every month. You'll get pool companies or you'll get fence companies that ask for all your pool permits. The unions ask for all your commercial permits, like the electric union asked for all your electric permits for the last month, and they use them for their whatever. So it's mostly that. We do have training. I know the police department, right to know, and our right to know admin who helps me with it, has training this month on it. So that's all I have to report on.
The sanitary sewer rate study by Keystone Alliance Consulting. We're still waiting on data, I think, from Aqua, and I suppose from the city of Philadelphia to complete that study. We're also have an ongoing upgrade, sanitary sewer system monitoring and financial software, with Waterworks software. I think you've done some trial runs with them, Manager Lott, and you're quite happy.
Yes, and they did appear at a committee meeting and showed us their software. And we are ready to move forward with them, and we really need to, and it's gonna make our sewer system record keeping and what is going on with it a lot more transparent. And again, the report writing from it and the things that we'll be able to make public through it will shine a lot of light on that system and the cost of things and where the rates need to be. We'll be able to monitor it real time. The cost of that is $5,500. It is in the budget, and we would like to move forward with start moving our information into the system probably in November.
Okay, you have it on site and up and running here?
To have it on site.
Do you have it on site now?
No, I do not.
And finally, the Borough website continues to get upgrades and updates if necessary. And that's all I have.
Okay, thank you. Building, zoning and revitalization, Councilor Bruno.
Thank you. First on the agenda is the conditional use application has been received for 459, 471 York LLC. This is for the proposed apartment building of 40 units. 4 studios, 33 one-bedrooms, some of which will have a very small den. Not second bed, that can't be used as a bedroom. The way it was explained is that it's sort of, it could be used perhaps as a small little office. So, only 3 2-bedroom apartments and no 3-bedroom apartments at all. So 40 units in total, and they will be considered luxury apartments. The planning commission, last night, the developers of 459, 471, presented a detailed presentation. And after a robust discussion, the planning commission voted unanimously to in support of the conditional use. So, we will be receiving something in writing from the planning commission regarding their support going forward for the conditional use. And that will be on, as I said, on our agenda for our November meeting. Also, last night, I wanted to report that at the planning commission, Marley Rice of the Montgomery County Planning Commission discussed the 2035 comprehensive audit of Jenkintown, our comp plan in the 4 theme areas, and in all the areas, neighborhood presentation, economic development, sustainability, and transportation. Her assessment is that we've been doing a very good job in improving in all these areas. And the purpose is to produce a brochure highlighting Jenkintown and its achievements. So that should become, I don't know when that'll be forthcoming, but it was very well done, and I thought we'll be proud. Cedar Street, Greenwood Avenue properties planning, there's no update on that. The community playground at Jenkintown School District, status update. Could you, George, that would be great.
I can add to it. I met with Kelly Hudson, who was chairing the committee. She came into the Borough Hall yesterday to update me on where they're at. They're going to, the committee is made up of design professionals, engineers, contractors, parents, the playground committee, the school board president, the superintendent. They have buy-in from a couple of planning commission members, the chair of the planning commission, and they're going to put their heads together and come up with an overall plan. But they're not just looking at the playground itself that needs replaced, the wooden playground. They're on that. We have a permit in. They're going to fix the playground. It's going to be useful. The life cycle is at the end of that. We're thinking that it might not last more than 2 years. What's in place there. So they have to figure out what they're going to do with that, but they're looking at it as a whole. And I would say it's all the way, they call it that. It's referred to as the elementary side. If you're not, I would say it goes all the way to the cul-de-sac. So it's that entire area. It's the playground, it's the ball field, it's the elementary school playground, basketball court. It's that whole thing, and they're going to do it's called Legacy Park at the school, and they're going to do branding and have their own website. We're going to put a logo with the information on our website. They're going to be at all the events that are coming up. They're going to look for some donors. They have an idea of what they want to do, but they don't have anything plans yet. But she has a lot of energy and a lot of great ideas, and I told her that we'd support her any way we could. But they wanted to they're going to do surveys with the entire community to go out through the school and through the borough. There's a joint statement coming out from the borough and the school and this committee showing that everybody's working together. They want a collaboration of everybody input on this project. and to work through it as a team. So it looks, it's gonna be a neat project, and there's no estimation of time. But they might have to phase it, but it's gonna be grading and laying it out. They're talking about being inclusive to all people. Like for instance, the playground now, they mentioned it has wood chips. And people with disabilities can't walk on that and utilize the playground, so it'll be a mat. down.
Yeah.
And a walking path. A walking path that is a softer surface that doesn't hurt your legs and knees when you walk on it. They have a lot of good insight and a lot of good information, so. It was a very preliminary meeting, but she shared all that and that for like an hour yesterday.
Sounds great. That's great. Good.
More forthcoming.
Just this whole thing.
And I did have a conversation with Kelly Hudson, and she said that she would be happy to come in here and give a presentation if we wanted it.
Yeah.
I said, oh,
That'd be great. Yeah.
Yeah, I said, I'm sure.
I think we have a lot of questions.
All right, I'll let her know, but.
Thank you. Private parking, private public parking lot. Yeah, let's say, a possible future opportunity. The new owners of the Times Chronicle building also had to purchase the parking lot, which runs perpendicular between York Road and Johnson. It is currently, I guess, prior to the sale, or prior to the purchase, it was privately owned and it was a fee for service parking. So the new owners for the Times Chronicle building don't really need this additional parking because it's not going to be turned into apartments, it's going to be offices. So the idea is that perhaps the borough could in some way acquire that parcel for additional parking. So I'm just putting that out there as I'll need to think about that and see whether or not the 2040 could provide some money for or something to be great to be able to purchase that for the shops and on York Road. So that's the update. I don't have anything more than that. Do you, George?
I could tell you that we met with the owner of the property and his head engineer or architect. They're very excited to be in the borough. They're going to contribute to the borough greatly. I could tell by meeting with them and talking with them. They're excited to be here. They look in several different municipalities to bring this firm that's going to be in Times Chronicle, and they chose the borough. So they too have a lot of energy, and they look out there. They showed us that they look out the front of their building and they see this parking lot. So they're looking at it all day long. And there's a kiosk in it now, but they don't want to run a parking lot. And he also wants to be a good neighbor, and he feels like he's out there doing parking enforcement day after day. So he's very interested in turning that over to the borough in some way. Councilor Ballard joined me in that meeting. I took a few people with us to represent, and it went really well. They're not pressed on time. I told them how slow the wheels of government move. He said if we came back and at some point said that we were interested but not until 27 or something like that, that everything's could be under consideration with them. They would also like to design the parking lot. You would be involved, but they would design the parking lot to meet code. So the parking spots would be the right size. It would actually have a real two handicap spots, and the ones that are there are marked handicap, but they're not code compliant. So they would design it. They would use the brick and the plant that we have in our other parking lots, so it looked like our other parking lots, but they want to beautify it and put some lighting in there and just make it a nicer look and clean it up. And they had all kinds of ideas, like knowing that we're proposing to enforce from 8 to 6, that hopefully the restaurants will use it because these businesses are closed, and the new restaurants that are coming into West will be able to, could park their patrons there. to maybe have an EV station installed, one or two installed closest to Johnson Street we looked at. With the first move the borough would do would be to get, help me out there, man, blank in the word, an estimate of the cost of the worth of the property. There you go. Thank you. And we would have to get an appraisal. And, we could get the appraisal and then we could start looking for funding and grants and, different ways that we could purchase it through, grants.
Fingers crossed, sounds good.
Yeah.
So we're gonna stay in contact with them. They asked about STEM education at the high school. They would like to bring in a couple of interns. And they do it in all their other offices. And some educational engineering, math students, introduce them to architectural and engineering, and he said it's pretty exciting for them to
That's
do
really
it.
cool.
So we're gonna hook them up at the school.
That's
You
really,
mentioned the STEM that we're aware of is preschool.
Yeah.
If they-
I thought you were talking about. Yeah.
I said, wow, that's young. But the guy that's gonna run that building and that office actually lives in Rod. So it's real close. They think their employees who they're gonna recruit from Philadelphia, they're gonna come on train mostly. They're just very excited about the borough. They've been in they mentioned another town in Jersey that had a revitalization that stayed small but filled up all their buildings, and they had a lot of neat ideas. So it was a nice meeting. And I know that we're gonna hear from them, like working at the borough.
That's great, good. Okay, moving on to current development update, 501 Washington Lane, the apartment building with 24 apartments and commercial retail on the first floor. This is moving along nicely. If anybody's seen it, it really is beginning to look a very, very nice building. The expectation is January, February 2025 occupancy. 821 Hempstead Road, the proposed apartment, not so much proposed, but apartment building, 26 1 and 2 bedroom apartments with commercial retail on the first floor. That occupancy is slated for November, December, so that'll be coming shortly. 93 York Road, the giant grocery store, looking for January, February occupancy, so Valentine's Day probably.
really looks nice too. It does.
It does, very nice. 459, 471 York, we've already talked about that. The 610 coffee shop, the zoning and use for Tiny Town and the zoning and use for Dogtopia, I really have no updates to report on any of those three items. And then finally, 604 West Avenue, the Immaculate Conception Church, building next to it. The proposed three-bedroom apartments that is also moving along it right now, is waiting on the sewer approval process. Shall I?
Yeah.
Wait, I want to say one thing that's kind of on topic with the giant. There's a gentleman that works there, the Roslyn one that I go to all the time. And he told my brother-in-law that he already put in for his transfer to the Jenkintown store, so we officially have a Jenkintown resident already working in Jenkintown.
Short-term rental of property ordinance. Very late Monday, George and I received a draft. It's a 10-page draft of the ordinance from our solicitor, which I will share and for your review, but it's not going to come up before us until the November release, so you'll have ample time to review it. And incorporated all of the work that the planning commission, particularly Lucinda Bartley, who did so much in terms of drafting. Like her draft was 8 pages, so I mean, he really took a lot of it in, and I think it'll be a good working document for us. Approval plant list that PC, the planning commission is still working on that. And parking lot leases with Leadham Street and Town Square lots. George, is that still under discussion?
It's still under discussion, but I'll be able to move forward on that now that we got through the, tonight.
Okay.
I do have the numbers provided by Ms. Rivera to me, and I'm gonna be able to provide it to Lindy in a letter, so hopefully we'll be able to wrap that up.
Great, thank you. That's all I have. Any questions?
Very much, thank you.
Public safety, right?
Yes, that's it.
Okay, fire department updates. We had our fire commission meeting on, last week on Wednesday. Bylaws are still, going through their voting process, so we should know still in November. They are also getting, quotes for the antique vehicle, the antique apparatus that we were gonna take off our, regular our regular fire apparatus insurance. They're getting quotes for those pieces. That also we're looking at for hopefully November, getting some info back and, getting those moved along. The bigger piece I think that we need to talk about is the 1996 bumper truck. That is, I think, probably been on the agenda for, I don't know, 2 years maybe. So if the last time we discussed this, we had talked about getting a real quote on what it would cost to actually repair this thing. And then, make a decision on whether or not we would go with the repairs, whether we would just try to sell it as is. And when we talked about it, there had been a cost associated with doing a real quote, a real estimate, because it kind of had to be taken partially apart. And to be repaired. And if I'm wrong in any of this, you guys. And so that came, so then in our fire commission meeting, it came up that where we were taking it to have this more advanced in-depth estimate done. We had kind of assumed or kicked around or talked about, maybe we thought it might be $5,000. Maybe I'm hoping that's the number you guys recall. That's kind of what we had talked about. They had requested $15,000 because they wanted it to undertake this was going to be a bit of time, and they kind of, that's not what they were saying, that what they were going to charge us. It was going to be kind of like, you give us $15,000, we're gonna do this in-depth thing, and then in-depth estimate, and then you can apply that 15 towards the cost to repair. This all came up at fire commission, and George and I were talking about it, and I didn't feel comfortable saying, yeah, let's write a $15,000 check without talking to you guys, because 5,000 was the number I had in my head. And 15 just seemed like a heck of a lot to make that decision on my own. So I believe that's kind of where we are now, right, George?
That is correct.
Okay.
It was my impression that we could spend 5,000. That was what was discussed. But when it came in at 15, we couldn't, well, by code, we can't approve 15 if you guys discuss 5,000. That's 3 times what that was. So yeah, so we put it on here and I left the motion wide open. I know the fire company brought some information to talk about it tonight. We
Okay.
just talk about it. But yeah, no, you had it 100% right.
Okay. So do we have an update then?
Well, no, not really, but in part, right? So. Yes, we're looking for a better quote, but at the same time, this isn't somebody just opening the hood or coming in and pulling some measurements. This is now turned into an actual job. Because they have to disassemble a third of the truck to get in to see what's wrong. We have a preliminary quote of all the valving. We know what all the valving done cost. The additional associated cost that we're looking to figure out is if there's anything on that valving that's known that is unseen. Meaning that obviously the pump occupies the width of the truck. You can only see it from the 2 ends. You know what's on either end, but not in the middle. It's a lot of piping, linkage, things like that. So he has to really disassemble a third of the truck to get into this. Yes, we kicked around at fire last month when we presented it to fire commission, originally thinking that he came back with a $15,000 it's not even a quote, it's basically a deposit based off of the original quote that he provided for the valving work. dive into this. At the end of it, either we're gonna have a truck that's usable, or we're gonna have a truck that is not. I'm not an expert. I honestly don't foresee a tremendous amount of up cost behind the valving. Yeah, there could be some rotted piping and stuff, but, if you want to get actually accurate, that's what he wants. He wants 15,000 to really tear this apart, or treat it as approve what you know, the valving work, and treat everything going forward as a work order change. So that's point tonight, so we can decide, so we can at least get something moving. There's now the truck, it had some other associated work that had to be done this week, state inspection, other services, all this was tied together. So right now I have a truck sitting up at the service shop in limbo, and a mechanic time to do this work, they can't proceed yet. Just, I think we're here tonight discussing it, and I'd like very much to be able to let him either move on or bring the truck home and get rid of it. My recommendation would be to move forward. All right, if you want the concrete numbers, then pay, get 15,000, get the quote for, just as I said previously, authorize what we know is the quote of the 32,000, and then treat everything after that as a lift year change. But ultimately, it's your decision. Billy Cross, the tank chief, may have some more information, because he's been in direct contact with Keller Motors, the owner. Want to add anything?
Just that the updated proposal was dated and provided to borough staff on July 29th. And it specifically states on there, in order to proceed, you need to deposit the 15,000. That's not saying that he's gonna spend $15,000 to tear it apart. It's just a deposit towards the work. And once he gets to a certain point and he's able to complete that work, he'll come back with a written proposal based on what he finds by taking it apart. And if anything more needs to be added to that updated proposal that was provided on the 29th of July, he would certainly do that, and people would make a decision from there.
Sure.
Go ahead.
Question. The quote that you provided the borough staff that was provided to council that says he wants 15,000 to begin the job. That's to begin the job of making the $30,000 repair, correct? Is that where he says that he wants 15,000? It's not 15,000 to give him a second quote. Am I correct with that?
Yes,
Okay. I just wanted to.
the quote that you got in July was his estimated cost of what the repair work would be.
Okay.
It was an update from 2 years prior, 3 years.
Right, so it was an updated quote.
Right.
Okay.
When we discussed it at prior commission, it was, well, let's get him to take it apart, and then he can give us a hard quote.
Okay.
But that was us discussing. We never discussed that with him. When we did discuss with him, he says, I'm working off of the estimate, and it's a $15,000 deposit. If he takes it apart and comes up with a better quote, we decide not to, whatever the balance is, you would get back. That's where I see it.
You have a question?
Just remind me.
Thank you, Joe.
Truck,
The 1996 truck.
30 years old.
Yes, yeah.
So I am so ignorant about all this, you'll have to excuse these questions. But I just like, is this throwing good money after bad? Like, if you have a 30-year-old truck and we fully repair it, I know nobody has a crystal ball, but what's that mean going forward? Is that we get 5 years out of it? We get 10 years out of it? We're talking about.
Got 2 or 3 years out of it, would be worth spending $30,000 on it, or $40,000 on it. But there's no saying that you will. But
Doesn't it take a couple of years to get a new truck?
Yes.
Yeah.
So this kind of gets us through
yeah,
to getting the next truck.
But the truck mechanically is sound. We're
Yeah.
specifically talking about the pump. That's
Right.
The chassis, all the working parts of the truck itself, with the exception of the pump, is sound and in good shape.
and the reason for asking for the quote and possibly repairing it is that's what the professional study that we had done recommended we do.
So you'd like to buy us more time, or if we wanted to sell it, it would be more feasible to sell something that had working, that was working to be more marketable.
Here,
Thank you.
But I think ultimately, we still need to like think of a dollar amount that we're, you know, this is the end of the line, this thing. Right? I mean,
I feel like nobody wants to call time again.
that, us, yeah, I feel like that a bit too. I mean, so we say yes to the 15,000 and he starts taking it apart. And he's like, whoa, this is gonna be 70. Like, we're not gonna do that. That's crazy, right? I mean, am I crazy to say that? I think 70 would sound like a lot of money to me. Yeah.
So you just sold a police car to me in 2015
Mhm.
for $5,000 and I had a couple $100,000 on it.
Not even close,
How many miles on it?
less than 100.
All right, so less than 100,000, you got it for 5,000. We're talking at the purchase value, probably $375,000 for that truck. That's 28 years old, 8 years past its our normal life expectancy on the fire truck. You're not gonna get any money back from it. All this is doing is buying us time, protecting the borough for the next 3 or 4 years, if you can get past it,
And I
and
guess,
saving money.
has it been working for the last 3 or 4 years?
The pump actually worked. We pumped the truck, we train with it. It just doesn't meet the certifications to put it on fire. I mean, if we're fire, we gotta do it. I'm sure. But it pumps. We train with it. That's how we do our training with that truck. So we always have the truck ready to respond to a fire if there's a call. It just doesn't carry water and hose. It carries our safety equipment, air pack, ticks. Everything you could possibly need.
So you're still putting it,
Still uses, yes, as a man, personnel carrier and equipment carrier, yeah.
and you haven't been using it as a pump for the.
Not on fire, no.
And is. Huge, because I don't know. So if there is a call out for a fire. In the neighboring township. You would go to that, right? You're
Not with that truck.
that,
this is the backup truck.
This is the backup truck. This is our second engine out of the station.
just to play devil's advocate, we are thinking of going ahead to buy another truck. We're going to replace a truck in our rotation. And that $32,000 could go toward that purchase. We could start that process now. It does leave us a little bit short of equipment. And we could figure out about mutual aid and how to make up that shortage.
That's a 3 to 5 year process.
Getting a new truck.
And that's, we could build specifications in a week, sign a contract next week and have it delivered.
Like 3 to 5 years, yes.
This doesn't really affect the budget though, right? In terms of like 5,000 versus 15.
I just was thinking, my
Because it's all
thought
going
was
to
really
the
more
15.
thinking about like the dollar amount and kind of like throwing good money, just collecting money down the
The
toilet.
money's gotta come from somewhere.
Yeah, it does come from, yeah, it's true.
It's not invisible money.
It's not my money,
But if we did
it's never
repair,
as much.
we did repair it and then you'd still have to order a new one. Yeah. So, I mean, where are we in that process, Will we do that if we order that? Well, I guess one way or the other we have to order.
How long have we been operating with, I guess, so we just have one pumper truck? Is that it? And not a backup?
2 years, that truck's been restricted to 2+ years.
And
But you're leaving yourself vulnerable because there are times that our engine and ladder go out of the borough at the same time. I'll give you a prime example of Towers and Winco. They had a working fire over there. Quinn and our good engine went to that call. And you're sitting here with an engine in the borough. They can't buy $9 without being certified, quite far. So you see where I'm at, and not only were we over there, our surrounding fire departments were there too. We normally, I would say we never make all three apparatuses to an out of town fire. It would have to be a very bad fire for us to have all three here. And then, yes, we would bring in mutual aid from other departments, but they could be outstretched. There are times that we're vulnerable with that.
Thank you.
That doesn't carry any personnel, just equipment.
Oh, no, we carry personnel, 10 people, the 10-man cab. 500-gallon water tank. 1,500 gallons per minute pump, and that's the problem.
So there is a liability,
Yeah, liability.
a big liability.
And we've discussed this at numerous meetings about our ISO rating, even though the report we had said it really shouldn't affect it. Well, you still haven't heard from ISO saying that it's not going to affect it. You have to have so much.
Spoke to the ISO and they said it wouldn't affect it. being
Yeah,
there.
I called them and they said it would not.
Yeah, we're supposed to get them out to tell us that in person, so we could say, hey, is this gonna cause us a problem if we're not meeting our standard? Is it gonna raise our ISO rating? We haven't had any confirmation.
Until what happens.
Correct.
So to not, I guess, drag this on, I mean, it sounds like we're feeling like we need to pay the 15 to have this taken apart. Is that the consensus that folks want to do?
Make a motion.
I make a motion, I can't, what's the right wording? I make a motion to authorize a check for $15,000 to pay Kaler Motors to, provide an in-depth estimate of 1996 pumper truck.
Excuse me, but I think they phrased it as a $15,000 deposit.
Positive, you're correct.
Container.
Thank you.
We should get something in writing from Taylor, what it is, so that
It's
Yvonne can produce a check. Because of, what's that?
It's an estimate. You've had an estimate. It's only a quote. He wants a 15,000.
No, but the $15 doesn't pay
For
the
repair, he
estimate.
wants 15,000 on a $30,000 repair. Is he gonna say there's 15,000? Well, that was for the quote. Here's your quote. It cost you 15 grand.
If you spend 4,000 tearing his heart and coming over and said, well, if you decide not to do it, you're gonna get the $11,000 back.
Right, he needs to put that on a piece of paper, not come from you, a third party.
I get it.
I mean,
Yeah,
doesn't that make sense?
yeah, the terms need to be clear so we know what it is we're actually approving.
Yeah, we need to get better wording. Maybe from Patrick's. So, let me see, because.
Can you contact the Taylor to get the wording that you need?
I could, yeah.
Send this to the boroughs.
I think they know the wording. Bill talks to, Bill Cross talks to the owners, talked to them through this process.
I mean, the wording might already be there, we just need to know what it is.
Mhm.
You know what I'm saying? It may already, I mean, you're kind of quoting it from memory, but just to know what the deal is.
And my confusion is the $15,000 for the in-depth inspection? And there needs also, if we were to go forward with the repairs, another 50 or whatever, 50%, $15,000 deposit if we go forward with the repairs. I'm not clear what the $15,000 really
So
buys.
it's not been explained that way to us.
Can I explain it?
Sure.
It's basically like you're getting a lawyer,
It's a
paying a
retainer.
$15,000 retainer, and they're gonna spend it based on how much time it takes for him to disassemble it. And then if there's money left over that he can put towards the repair, he will do that.
But if it requires additional money,
He will update the quote and let us know how much more it's gonna cost.
It's gonna, if everything goes well, it's gonna cost more money. We have a quote for, I think it's 39 to buy. I'm not. He's looking it up now.
46 or whatever.
Something like that.
So something like 39,500 to do the repair.
So essentially the 15,000 is for them.
First installment.
It's just a deposit.
That's fine.
When this was done, when we first decided this, there was not he did not know that we were authorizing him to take it upon finance. That was after our meeting that we approached him. He gave an estimate on what the repairs were. From there, I have to turn the mill with first office. Our group had decided, and we just threw a number out there, 5,000, we all talked about it. I don't know anything on how much that cost. But Bill was gonna contact them and say, hey, they want you to take it apart and give us a concrete estimate on what it's gonna cost to repair. And that aired enough.
If whatever's not expended on tearing it down and giving you a quote is used is either returned to the borough or used towards the repair that you decide to do, then I don't think there's any harm in doing it.
Yeah,
But that has to be clarified.
right. And
So
those are
Yvonne
those are the
produced the
terms
check.
that seems reasonable enough. I mean, I'm speaking for myself, as long as it's clear.
Yeah,
Okay,
but it has to be clear.
So, to be clear, does that mean that it has to be written up? So we could like, have a check for it? Like an invoice or?
For Yvonne to produce a check for $15,000, she needs something in writing from Kayla. Even if it's an invoice that says $15,000 retainer. Whatever's not used on tearing it down will be applied to
Right.
the repair, the eventual repair or return to the borough. It's something simple on that.
It's not included in this estimate that you were given for.
what's the date?
July 15th.
Whatever's left from from tearing it down. If there's monies left in there, that would apply towards that estimate. I mean, it's gonna be a fresh estimate, but it'll be applied towards the repairs.
So it's gonna be a new estimate.
I didn't hear what you said, I'm sorry.
That's going to be a new estimate then.
It's gonna be a new quote. After he puts eyes on that pump,
Right.
with it apart,
Mhm.
what it really is gonna take. He's gonna have a more accurate idea of what it's gonna cost to repair it.
Yeah, so really after tearing it apart, you can say, well, I'm gonna have to replace this, if we're ready to
Yes.
order that.
Yeah,
And because an estimate, if you I haven't seen it, you only said, oh, I need that.
that's what I'm saying.
So it should be a more accurate estimate, otherwise it's.
And it seems like all the hypotheticals have us putting down 50,000 as deposit. And it's gonna cost maybe $5,000 to get to where we need to decide whether to go forward or not to. What's the extra 10,000 for? You know, aren't we a good credit? You know, why are we putting 15,000 if it's likely to cost just 5 or 6 at the start when we have to make the next decision? Why do we have to assume that the fellow's gonna get the money back?
We don't know that it's $5,000.
Okay, well, then that's what I'm asking.
Yeah, that number we just discussed, what it cost, we thought 5,000.
So it might cost 15,000
Yeah.
to get a decision.
Whatever he tears apart, if you decide not to repair it, he's gotta put it back together again. Because you can't leave the
Yeah.
truck sitting in a parking lot.
But he's sure it's not gonna cost, I mean, he trusts us to pay, if it's costing 19, he trusts us to pay the 4.
Yeah, but the 5,000 came up in casual conversation among us, not him.
I'm just wondering why.
It's not that he doesn't trust us either. I mean, he does our PM work all the time.
Yeah,
So we're constantly up there for inspections and generator work, all that stuff. It's been going on for 2.5 years. We've already given him money and then brought it back from him because we decided not to do anything with it. Now it's back to him again. You know, at a certain point, guy says, look, I just wanted to start the work. And, I mean, I understand everybody wants everything in writing, that's fine. But the guy's not trying to take us, and we're just trying to get in trouble.
Can I ask a question? Probably more than one. Is this normal? Like, I don't know anything about a fire truck. So,
deposits, you mean?
well, whatever's broken with the fire truck, and I'm sorry, I'm completely ignorant, I just drive a car, I don't know a thing about a fire truck, but whatever's broken with the fire truck. Does this happen with other fire departments? And how, okay, so how do they handle that process?
You're going through the same process. We're a small municipality, so we don't have an open-end funds to fix these things all the time. So we try and do a lot of the repairs ourselves. This is something way out of our.
But again, how does the
I
other?
think I got a little better answer for you. If you have a 28-year-old truck,
Mhm.
fire departments around here don't have those. They're 10, 15, 20 years old at the max. And they aren't seeing repair costs that are $30,000-$40,000 unless they've had an accident or a significant failure of something. So when somebody's asking for a deposit, number one, they're looking to cover parts that they're gonna buy to make those repairs. And whatever else. So is it normal? No, not to be able to take a first line truck that's 28 years old and put it into a repair process and expect that it's only gonna cost a couple thousand. So, and at the same time, we have the question of whether we're gonna keep the truck or not. So you're trying to weigh that difference of whether we should spend the money or not spend the money. Since we're looking at 3 to 5 years to get a new truck. We should all seem to be leaning, well, okay, let's put money into it to last that 3 to 5 years until we can replace it.
So I think for me, the truck needs to be repaired. I think for me it's the process, and I come from another state, so like language, like we just came up with $5,000. Like that would not happen in my old world. So, and you all educate me on this. There's a process. So you need 2 quotes. If it's over a certain dollar amount, you need a number of quotes. So you're going to get those quotes, and then you're not paying anything off of an estimate or a quote. You get those quotes, and then that vendor is going to honor that quote, and you're going to get an invoice for that quote. If it's over another dollar amount, then it's going out to bid, and we're bidding it. But again, and all of those processes are happening, and then it's coming to the governing body, and then they're making a decision to honor that, award that contract, or if it's at the bid level where it's only you needed to quote, then that's fine. But you've got internal, and it's not like someone's like sitting around just coming up with random numbers. Does that make sense?
Saying, well, yeah, actually try to help. I get it. We do have all quotes. We did receive a competitive quote from another vendor.
Okay.
Which was almost probably 2 or 3 times as much as specific vendor we're talking about. This truck has been up back. Give us an estimate, make a deposit. No, we're gonna hold off, give us some money back. Give us an estimate. Okay. Now give us another estimate, more in detailed work. These vendors are far and few between. And it's going to get to the point where the vendors are like, I'm not dealing with you people because you're a pain. Honestly, and then we're gonna have to go find, right? And maybe the next closest vendor for this is out by Harrisburg or out North Jersey. Not in Hatfield Township or Montgomery Township. Now we're talking excessive travel times. So that's where we're at. How do we come up? The 5,000 came up as, what do you think this might cost? And this was in a commission meeting. It wasn't necessarily a formal committee meeting. It might cost a couple thousand for him to tear this apart. We were dead wrong, clearly. If he wants more money, that's where this all started coming from, is in why we were having a commission. It came up, can you see what it would cost to get the revised estimate done? After commission, it came back with, or right before fire commission, I think it was, he came back with, if he wanted 15,000. We discussed it. Obviously, the commission doesn't have the authority to move anything of that substance forward. Why it's here at this platform tonight being discussed.
Excuse me?
Yeah.
Yeah, not to dismiss what you're saying. I understand, and there should be process, but I think we have to accept the fact that there probably are not a lot of repair places that are lining up to repair a 28-year-old truck. And we are in a situation where if we want to get any use out of it, for the next couple of years, we're gonna have to, pay.
I'm not
So
discounting
that's-
that. I'm just saying, I think all of to me, it just sounds like more conversation than anything being in writing. That's all that I'm saying.
Yes, that's what I said. I'm not disputing your point.
Mhm.
You said to add to that.
Right, okay,
And we do have the printed quotes.
okay.
There are actual formal quotes that were presented to council. The particular returns that we're at, there is, and we're working off a formal quote, which is where the 15,000, he looked at and said, this is what I wanted for that quote, this is what I want for this job. Now, my own indication of going back and asking to say, okay, well, we need us to define what that 15,000 now going before that, yes, it's to start tearing the pump apart and anything beyond that, credit or whatever the case may be, so that we have a clear explanation, for accounting purposes of where we're going. So my question is, for you, we're kind of just here in limbo, is can council make a provisional motion and approval conditional upon receipt of the letter so that we're not stalling this any longer?
Yeah, that's what I was just gonna say, if we can just do that tonight, so that way we're not waiting another month to do this. So I don't know how I need to change the motion that I made.
Make a motion to spend $15,000
Make a motion to spend $15,000 on deposit
upon receipt,
upon receipt of the,
letter confirming what the 15,000 will be used for.
upon receipt of what the, so moved.
On receipt of it or on when we see it, we like it also.
But
We need to
I
see it.
think you're beyond that.
Yeah, I think let's keep moving.
You think you're beyond that.
Yeah. When we see it, I think. Just so we can get it going on this.
Right. Second.
A motion and a second, no more questions or any questions?
I mean, it seems like the risk we're talking about is, if I understood the explanation earlier. We've sort of been at risk of having a major event outside the borough. And both of our good trucks, the Quentin and the other pumper, being absent. And the only thing that's in the borough is this older truck. And that's, is that a risk? We're trying to buy down that risk. And the alternative is to continue to accept it. We've been living with it for a while and put the money towards the process of getting a new truck. Or, a younger used truck or whatever substitution is going to be. I mean, is that the trade we're talking about?
Yes.
In part, you're still going to purchase new apparatus, we're buying tires, what we're buying, and some value on time. Once you're, by all definitions, what you just described is a simple game of nothing more or less. All right, keep pulling the trigger till something comes out. You're rolling the dice, eventually.
We've been rolling.
Yeah, well, eventually that what's going on.
And you still have a liability, personnel liabilities.
I don't understand that.
Yeah, I don't know.
I'm just trying to make sure that I understand what we're talking.
What do you mean by
Is what I'm talking about,
Covered
correct?
by any
That's a trade-off?
personnel
Okay.
thing happens, that anybody on the truck, within the township, am I correct?
No,
That's not true.
That's what I asked you before.
I think there's confusion.
You asked, it carries personnel,
That's what I asked.
so I didn't hear what you just
You
said.
said, does it carry any personnel?
It
You
does.
said yes. And I said, so, and if anything happens to any personnel, are personnel covered?
It's on the
That's what I
insurance.
The truck operation, now, that won't be an issue with personnel.
That's what I asked you.
The issue with the truck is that if that truck pulled up to a house fire, theoretically, you can't use
You can't use it.
it. That's the order.
Because it's not certified, it's
Are
not.
the personnel covered?
They're covered and safe and everything else.
Well, that's what I had asked you.
I'm sorry, I
That,
didn't.
that wasn't, that's what I asked.
Yeah.
That wasn't
Yeah.
clear.
We've been using it for 3 years.
So no matter where you go in the township, personnel on that truck are covered.
Yes,
Yeah, okay, that was not.
Is that what you're saying?
I'm sorry, I don't know.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed?
I think I'm.
Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4 opposed. David, were you raising your hand or no?
No,
Okay, 4 opposed and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 4.
So,
Oh, and Al, about Alex, are you still on?
Still there, Alex?
She's on, but she's not.
She's actually tiebreaker
I
anyway.
asked her on, yeah, if you have,
It does, I mean, she can,
but she could hear us.
okay,
7 in favor, 4 opposed. with
Yeah.
Alex.
so,
Have a majority.
yeah, we have a majority, it carries. Thank you. Oh, and we're still in public safety. Yeah, hold on, you jerks. Okay, parking management ordinances and regulations, discussion or updates. Jeez. I know we have another community meeting on Thursday, November, I can't read this, 7? Was that right?
Yeah.
7 PM.
That's correct.
The 7th? Or the-
November 7th, it's a Thursday night, 7 p.m.
And I believe the focus of this one might be, permits. Is that right? Parking permits, all right. Replacement of existing parking kiosks. I was not able to attend the meeting where all that was discussed, where the presentation.
We tabled that at the last meeting,
Okay,
while we received more quotes. We've received 3 presentation quotes. And we've focused on the T2 systems, and that's what we have here tonight that we're recommending. The three kiosks we have are past their life cycle. Looks like their truck. And they break down constantly. We have personnel out there fixing it and working with it, but it's infuriating to people that are trying to pay for parking and they stop working.
Mhm.
If the dollar bills get, any kind of precipitation, dollar bills get wet, they stop working. And we're spending a lot of money on fixing them. We've also bought them from a company from the UK. They used to be in New Jersey, they're now in the UK. They left one guy here as a maintenance guy. Sometimes it's 4 days till we could get them in here to work on it. So this T2 systems, that's the quote that we have before you. If the idea is to replace those kiosks and not go 100% electronic payment, we feel that this is our best recommendation to replace those 3 kiosks. There's never a clear cut, this is what we should do. Because one of the things you might want to look at with replacing the 3 kiosks, they number the kiosks. I learned the numbering system today. As you walk out of Borough Hall, the first one you come to is number 1 on Leadham Street. Number 2 is on Greenwood in the same lot. And then number 3 is over by West Avenue and Marzano's. That's the latest, the newest one. So it's 1, 2, 3. One thing that you might think of doing is replacing 2 and 3. And instead of putting 1 where it is, right outside here, it hardly gets used according to the use on it. And taking that 3rd kiosk and maybe putting it up on West Avenue, at the corner of Leadham and West. So that people wanted to pay with a kiosk would still be able to access that, from the parking spots on West or any area up that way.
And that would have kiosk would apply to spaces of Johnson also.
They could.
So the kiosk would change. It would not be a space identified process. It would be
Oh,
based on your tag.
Your license plate.
Right.
The other issue is that they would be able to give us multiple zones. So parking lots would be their own zone. The West Avenue and Leadham Street, the 300 block, we are suggesting in the parking ordinance that that would be your only 3-hour limited location within the borough. That would be its own zone, so they would be able to select that in the machine. So that's what we're looking at. Let me talk about the new.
I can, you wanna,
Got
do you wanna do it?
it. Sean's on it.
So one more question. So that kind of means that I could park anywhere, any charge space
Correct,
in the borough and use any of the kiosks.
correct.
Well, okay.
That's true.
That's all plan is to make it so that the kiosks are available for people who do not want to use the app. And they would be able to pay at the kiosk.
Okay.
And they would be able to park in any of the locations.
Now,
They have to select a specific region.
the kiosks are expensive, as you know, we've been looking at them and, they're roughly $10,000 a piece. We've paid up to $12,000 when we bought them in the past, so, these are, newer kiosks with good technology. Our parking enforcement, the supervisor of it just spoke with Media Borough today, and he has 70 kiosks. He was able to give us an idea of a process that you may want to consider. The newest quote is 4,000, chief.
So the newest quote that we just received tonight, right before the meeting, is that a total for the kiosk alone is $25,616.
What's the difference? 4,000.
We're talking about $2,000 difference between a coin and credit card and a paper and credit card.
So what we found out by talking to this gentleman was that he has the same issues with when the bills get wet, they get jammed up. He said with 70 kiosks, I'd have to hire a staff to be out there working on it. Be a nightmare. He went to credit card and he was able to get a price on quarters and credit cards. With this limited amount, we could do that and it would save $2,000 from buying the bill and credit card ones. So the kiosk would still be able to operate off coin or credit card, or you could do your electronic payment on it. One of the things that the unintended consequence, if we went with bill and credit card, as we had talked about, the parking is 50 cents an hour. If you put $1 in there, if your bill and credit card, there's no way to get your change. So you'd be paying $1 for that hour of parking.
You gotta stay 2 hours.
You'd have to stay 2 hours. So that it's a plus there. The other thing was that he gave us a contact that has a company that for these 3 kiosks, they would give us a secure locker for the monies to go in. They would come periodically, pick up the money, take it, and then ACH the money into our account. So they would do the police would still collect it, put it in this safe locker. And then that company would come, they're a third party that would handle that. We could do that for these 3 kiosks. That is an option that we would recommend that we go with if we purchase these 3 kiosks. I'm sorry, I saw your hand.
I thought we were gonna go ahead with Park Mobile.
We're
across the
going
borough.
across the borough, but not with the kiosk. We haven't made the decision with the kiosk yet.
But then also.
I think we should, that's what it.
Get rid of it, yeah,
She does not have kiosks in the short.
such a small amount of usage.
You would make 3 people very happy in parking enforcement. That's all I have to say.
But,
Yeah, it's just a wisdom.
Yeah,
I mean, it would make me happy because it's
The only issue I will
$32,000.
bring to your attention is we regularly hear complaints about issues with. And it's user error most times, but it's user error that is complicated by. They feel that it would be fair to allow for the coin operated machines so that they don't have to worry about their protection of their credit card information, their protection of and having the ability to have, functioning phones. Some people don't have the functioning phones and they feel they're getting charged an additional charge So they're looking at this from that point of view. It's. I'm kind of understanding to both sides. I think a clean sweep to go completely electronic makes it a lot easier for us. For the burden of emptying out the machines and the meters. But I also understand, and you know, when I heard that they had 70 kiosks in media, it's kind of odd. I just got back from Bar Harbor, Maine, and they had kiosks everywhere.
Yeah.
So
And I think also our neighbors, Cheltenham and Abington, are going with.
they're going with Park
Kiosks.
Mobile.
And a funny twist of fate, I was in Strasbourg 2 weeks ago and they had coin ones and everyone was complaining because there was no Park Mobile and no one had change and people were getting tickets. So I just had to like laugh because I was like, this is hysterical. I had no change.
And I can tell you, I think I mentioned this before, Conshohocken Borough had completely eliminated all of their meters and they went to Park Mobile only. And they got such complaints that they put 2 kiosks in on Fayette Street. So
Yeah,
it's,
I know.
you're damned if you do and you're damned if you don't. So,
Is there a universe where we do fewer than 3?
well, I think the logic for the 3 was because we have 3 now
Yeah.
and we think that we can handle the 3. I don't think we should be ordering more than 3.
You're saying 1 or 2.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Um,
have one.
Does
as a-
1 or 2 handle that number, that small number of people who are actually gonna wanna use coins?
So the dynamic that I would also bring to your attention is the issue on West Avenue and Leadham Street is, as you would probably saw in the ordinance suggestion, we're suggesting to have additional 20-minute spots for, I call them quick hitters. People who are going in to pick up a delivery, pick up food, whatever it is, and we're not charging them to park at those locations. If you allow for coin operated, it's a lot easier. They're not sitting there trying to work through their app because they may not be functioning through it. You know, West Avenue and Leadham Street are your areas for the quick hitter, not pulling into the parking lot to go in to do a quick hitter. So, you know, having that flexibility, I don't know. I can go in either way. I know that my 3 parking enforcement people would tell you, get rid of every bit of it. But and make it all automated. I understand their point of view.
That's the maintenance. So they're out.
So that was the interesting thing. We wanted to really find out about that. And the guy from media said, most of the stuff that he has to deal with, the 70 machines that he has, he actually can deal with it himself. He doesn't have to call in. He has not had to call in anybody from the company to come fix something out of the ordinary.
Would he make the same decision again, if you were gonna redo it?
He was the one who kind of said to us that he thinks, you know, don't get paper is what his point of view. He does not think the dollar bills. He has more problems with the dollar bill machines than any of them. And they cost more money. And they're the first ones that people are putting dollar bills in the credit card slots. So
Are their machines as old as ours?
they have T2 machines. And that's why they have the newer machines.
Sorry.
So that's part of why they have fewer issues.
You have a third party coming in, collecting money. How do we know that that's, you know,
So the way that they explain it is they have a locked box. You're basically signing a contract with them. They would come, we would collect all of our coin. We would dump it into this locked box. They would come retrieve the locked box and then they count and sort it. And then they send you what they count and sort it.
so my question, I have 2 questions. One is, how do we, if you have $100
So-
coin, how do you know that they come back and say, oh, we counted
So the
$8?
machine is gonna give us a tally that we would keep track of. So we would know based on the data that we're getting from the machines of how many were paid with coin or how many were paid with credit card. We would be able to isolate that information. So we would know, kind of know how much we're putting into that box. And they quoted $26,000 in every month that they're collecting in coin. They get 2 pickups per month. Roughly 2 pickups. I don't think we would have that many pickups a month, so we would be much more in tune to It's a month or once every other month. I don't know.
And question number two is what do they charge?
That's the number that shocked me.
Yeah, I
They
did.
charge $75 and that's it.
They pick up,
That's it.
They charge $75 flat fee.
Well, it's a high school.
$55 fee.
Yeah, it's a high school.
like for the year,
For the year.
For
No,
each
each pickup.
pickup.
$75 for each pickup.
Correct.
That's a lot of money.
No, it's not. It's not.
Yes, it is.
If you're collecting $26,000 and you're only paying $150 in a month. That's not a lot of money.
You just need to be efficient. You need to make a decision, go with the kiosk, that's it.
I disagree. I think we need to go like that 20-minute, those 20-minute parking spaces, I think are phenomenal compromise in terms of like, you can find a 20-minute parking space to go in and do what you need to do. Like they would be basically from the corner here to down to the UPS store. They'd be mid-block because there are 3 sections of parking spaces. They'd be mid-block on West Avenue. So you could use those spaces. And then you could probably have 3 like in front of where
Mr. Rick.
Mr. Rick's, like 3 there, and then you have 2 on either end of the post office block. Like people can find, if they can't pay, they can find like short-term parking to do what they need to do. Like,
So meaning that you would not.
I would not get the kiosks. I would just go with like the 20-minute free parking, which I think people are gonna love.
Yeah.
And
That's gonna be like more abundant than what we discussed. This is like a different plan of putting the work.
A few more.
it's a few more.
Okay.
It's where you have a lot of in and out types of traffic.
White Horse.
Yeah.
Yes.
And then when we have parked mobile, to choose the option where, you know. In some places where I park, you pay for an hour and if you leave after 20 minutes, you get a credit back. Yeah, you can do that. And you can do that.
Correct.
Yeah.
You would not get that with the kiosk.
Right. So,
And just, can I just share one more point of information? On October 5th, I was here. I parked across the street. I used Park Mobile. And it gave me 6-minute intervals. So it was 40 cents for the first 6 minutes. Then I added another 6 minutes because took longer than I thought to be here. I added another 6 minutes, was another 40 cents. So it cost me 80 cents.
right here across.
Right, directly across the street.
Well, I just parked tonight and it gave me an hour.
I did, lunch hour.
I mean, because I double checked on my history to make sure I was
Yeah.
remembering correctly and.
I'm sure you were parking in Jenkintown.
So the reason we're bringing the kiosk to you is the first part, we talked about the on-street doing away with the coin. We brought that to council. We voted on that to go to the electronic. Now we're at the second part of our proposals with the kiosk. If you go electronic, we don't spend the $30,000. We move ahead with the electronic throughout. It's totally council's decision on that. When we provided all the information we could. The 20-minute spots that we proposed, we do have that. We met with Councilor Spindler. He assisted us with drawing a map of it. We're gonna clean that up and present that to you. We're gonna, hopefully, I think council will be ready to show them. Steve?
I didn't, I sent it to you.
All right, so it's good to go. So I will bring that to council to you, and as you described, when you pull on the west, the bump outs, the first one has 8 speed.
The first bump has 8 total.
8
4 on
total
each side.
spaces, 4 on each side. The next one has 2 on each side. And then right now in the ordinance, you have a 20-minute spot in front of what used to be Eric's Cleaners. And one by what was Oswald's or Business Graphics. They are no longer in use. So instead of having those 2 on that block, we're proposing you have 4 on the second bump out. That's dead center of the street. It would assist not to talk out of school, but I understand a taco store might be going anywhere out.
Time I've heard it, so I'm taking it as seriously.
People are talking about it. But you have the ice cream place on that side and the new stores are all gonna be food oriented. And then on this side, you have Lily's, you have West Ave, you have the White Horse. They could really be used for people running in to get the food or the other stores too, to pick up their packages. So that it really seems like a good place for that. When you get up to the 600 block, we're recommending you leave both of those 20-minute spots in place. One is near the corner of Leadham and the other's by the post office. They're existing, they're in the ordinance for saying leave them there. So you would end up with a total of 6 20-minute spots on West. But we think it serves the businesses and the public by recommending that. We turned to Leadham and we started discussing, okay, what can we do over here? And we have Rick's and we have Velvet Sky.
Yep.
Velvet Sky and Olive Lucy, who all have people that come in and out. Not as Olive Lucy, you shop a little longer, but definitely Mr. Rick's. And they double park in the middle of Leadham Street so that they could run in and grab their food and not be in a parking spot with a bad meter. So it doesn't work out. It would be a lot more, it would work a lot better. You've already approved the 20-minute spots out here. I saw them working on the signage today on that. So it would kind of encompass the whole business district, as Councilor Spindler was saying.
So my question is, if I'm following it, if we go with Park Rover and these 20-minute spot, would that help simplify enforcement? Because, for example, with the 20-minute spots, they seem to be concentrated in, the business area. And logically enough, you might have some people who are figuring, well, I might have to afford this, but if somebody is making sure that, you're not abusing that. I mean, am I following?
You are dead on following it. I would tell you that the vigorous enforcement mindset that we have right now, I think they would make sure that is held, that people are held accountable.
Yeah, because that to me sounds reasonable. That's the trade-off. If you park at a 20-minute spot, you better not be there for a lot longer than 20 minutes because there'll be patrol.
And there's no charge to park there. So you're not gonna be allowed to use it. The other aspect of it that we thought being in the center of that block was the business owners could work with the borough, say, I have a delivery truck coming at 10 o'clock today. We will put cones across those 2 spots on that side. Their truck could pull in there, the street's not blocked, and they could make their deliveries, remove the cones, and it goes back to the 20-minute spots. So we'd have a delivery place right in the middle of the block. Andy's Chicken, I forgot about them. So it would really serve all those businesses.
And that's a benefit also because it kind of, delivery trucks would understand there's a routine. People who live in the borough understand there's a routine. But when things are just like, well, there's the kiosk here and there's this there and there's this over there, it can be kind of hard to keep straight.
Yeah, let's ask, so I'm understanding correctly. So there'd be 6 new spots on West Avenue. That would be 20.
4.
It would be actually two new ones. According to your ordinance now, there's 4.
Of 4.
So it'd be 2 new ones, but we'd be taking the 2 that are there now that aren't really there. The 2 that are in the ordinance that aren't physically on the street any longer, we'll centralize all 4 of those in one place, in the one bump outs.
Okay. Like where it intersects with Johnson?
Yes, well, it's between Johnson and the crosswalk at the Breezeway.
West Avenue Grill Breezeway is where.
Yeah.
Okay, Jeff. And then the by Mr. Ricks, that would be 4 spaces or
There's 3 there.
There's 3 there.
Great. And that's from the corner up,
Yes.
corner of Greenwood up. Yeah.
We have to add them to the ordinance that we sent to you, but that is definitely something we talked about.
And we have a map of it that looks good that Councilor, of course. So you see the whole, the overhead of it.
Thank you for that.
It, are we all on board with this now?
Yes.
So no kiosks.
What's your main concern with no kiosks?
Well, here's what I'm gonna tell you. The kiosks and the enforcement software that we are looking to purchase we wanted to purchase in 2025. We would not have been able to purchase in 2025. We'd have to purchase it now with the kiosk. So we're talking about like we gave you the $25,000 upfront cost. If we wanted an extended warranty on the kiosk, it would be another $5,400 for a total of about $31,000. Enforcement software is married to the kiosk. So we would not be able to enforce anything if we don't have the enforcement software. That's about $16,000 upfront cost. And then every year after it's $76,000 or $7,600. So for 3 years, we pay roughly about 30 some thousand.
But if we go with meter up, how would you enforce that? You would not use enforcement software?
No, we need enforcement software in some way, shape, or form. Unless you just don't want to use an enforcement software. I think it's beneficial to us in the long run for enforcement because we paid out just for our ticket books $4,800 for printing. And we're going through them, but like that's a lot of money for printing.
You're not saying we have to have the kiosk to use these enforcement handhelds.
You do not need the kiosk to do the
Okay.
enforcement handhelds, and we can delay the purchase of the enforcement and handhelds to 2025. Does that make sense? So we would not have to spend that additional 16,000 in 2024. We could push that to 2025.
Right.
I think we should go with either meter up or park mobile. Or no, I mean, they say,
We have never, I don't know what you're talking about with meter up.
It's a company like Park Mobile.
I think actually they're the same now.
Same company.
Yeah.
Right.
They're probably against each other.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you treated this like a trial with no kiosk and then we later decided to add them, is it kind of like that ship has sailed or?
No, actually, I think we could purchase the kiosk without any problem because we'd be purchasing T2 as our enforcement software. We would go back to them, you'd get the most up-to-date quote. If you wanted to install kiosk later, you could. But you would have the enforcement software, you have the back office software, as they call it, being able to access the kiosk, that would already be set up.
Yeah. I think the 20-minute free parking is a good compromise for the people who might not have a
Right, I
smartphone
think
or,
it'd be really popular, right?
yeah.
How does enforcement work on the 20 minute? Is it just visual windows?
We just had that discussion. It's basically on the enforcement officers to
But do you like mark the tire?
kind of stand in the area, make sure that they watch. Just based on what I know and the district justice's point of view, eyeballs on. Or no go.
Yeah.
You cannot mark tires.
You can't?
No.
Really?
Supreme Court knocked it down,
Oh, God.
and then the judges now say this.
Sticky notes.
So, and how do you prove that you stood there? With,
Well, the benefit of the key of the handhelds is you can scan the license plate. It will time and stamp that license plate when you scan it. So then you can go back 20 minutes later and scan it again. You will have all that documentation.
so it's free parking for 20 minutes after we stand.
Essentially.
Pretty much, yeah. Well,
Like electronic,
first contact,
Yeah.
electronically chalking the tires.
yes.
I don't even know what the voting is.
I know, I'm waiting, but can you, if suppose you're legit, you do a 20 minute free parking legitimately. And you come back and the space in front of you is also a 20 minute free. Can you pull up into that and get a
No.
20 minute? No.
We'll make sure that we put in the ordinance that we cannot move from one spot to the next to gain another 20 minutes.
All right, so where's gonna make the motion?
Excuse me?
Is there a higher penalty if you stay in there for an hour? You need 20 minutes.
That would be a $25 ticket.
I can, yeah. So I move that we take to full council. Or do we have to take it to full council or?
Yeah, it's, well, it's on there to take it to full council, the purchase of it, so.
So, well,
You don't
I
have to
move
do
that
that.
we add, I think we were up to 4 20-minute spaces.
That's all part of the ordinance. That's,
In the ordinance.
Yeah, so you don't need to.
And that we
This is.
encourage
yeah.
the manager to move ahead with Park Mobile or an automated electronic parking system.
can I just make it simple for you?
Sure.
Make a motion not to replace the kiosk.
Oh, okay. I move that we not replace the kiosk. Just step forward. All those in favor?
What are you?
There's a motion and a second. Any comments or questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Why not move to replace the kiosk and vote it down?
Stop.
I'd like to thank you all for your deliberation on that. I know you gotta put a lot of thought into it. We put a lot of work into bringing all that information to you, but I know it's an important decision. There's so many different aspects you have to look at, so.
Well, it was good information to have because it made us realize the expense of it. Thank you.
And just so everyone's aware, November 1st, we are on track to remove the meters.
Did the whole fill up the dweller?
Yeah, do they have any resale value?
We don't know, we'll find out. The other issue is we're waiting for signs from Park Mobile, so it's all. That November 1st is definitely based on the signage, we have to get posted before we can do it.
Check municipal. Just
Sure.
see if they
Just a
sell.
small,
I'm sorry, Bill.
sorry, just a small point of clarification. When we're saying that we're not going to replace the kiosk, I think what you meant was we're not going to replace them with the T2 system. But does that mean that we're going to maintain the ones we have indefinitely?
No,
So
we're gonna be all electronic by the end of the year.
The goal would be that if everything comes to play, November 1st, we would take those kiosks out of play.
thank you.
We have a party to do it.
We think somebody would beat you to the punch with a sledgehammer. That's all I have to say.
Some kind of stuff.
Okay, moving right along, Governor's Center for Government Services, DCED. This is another program we're doing, correct, Chief?
This is the cost of benefit study that they're preparing for us. They're gonna finalize it and speak to council, and they will do a public presentation once it's finalized.
Windhoek Road, Summit Avenue safety concerns. We heard that earlier in the evening. And it sounds like the engineer has some solutions, some ideas. Okay.
Sure, can you give me sure?
Yeah, you just have to put
Oh, send requests.
Windows and pay. Oh, wait, I could do that here?
Yeah, that-
Okay,
that's why I'm not going.
look at you. Keep it safe. Right, for sure.
Starting with Sun and Winco, right? Yes.
Action.
As it collapses.
I think so, yeah. it's just not-
Make it bigger, you gotta make it bigger, there you go, that's too big, I can't see everything.
Yeah, no, I know, so let me start, I'll start 30,000 foot view and then we'll work down into it, so. So we took a look at this intersection and some of the concerns and it didn't appear to meet the warrants for an always stop condition, which I'm still waiting for some from the data from the police department, but this is typical of a lot of the other intersections of the borough that we've looked at. And with the with the request really being focused on, pedestrian accommodations and speed, your stop signs, we've discussed this a number of times, really aren't appropriate for that, so. If we were looking to enhance the pedestrian accommodation as well as incorporate some traffic calming measures in there, so. Assuming we did look at speed humps, we looked at the speed cushions, all the tools in our toolkit here, but. It seemed like a great opportunity to put out a raised crosswalk, so this is kind of the major, sorry, I've got a screen blocking me here, I don't know what. So this is looks like a great opportunity for a raised crosswalk. One of the nice things is with the raised crosswalk, the concrete work for the ADA ramps is significantly less. So rather than redoing, huge sections of the sidewalk and bringing the sidewalks down and bringing them out with their compliant slopes, we can actually just bring the raised crosswalk in right at the top of the curb, put a detectable warning strip in and, some minor adjustments. So it serves as a, kind of a speed table, as well as a raised crosswalk, that helps improve pedestrians' visibility.
That's good. Function, those are mats at either side, not grates for.
Those, yes, that's a good question. Yeah, they're the truncated domes that you see everywhere. Yeah, not grates.
You got another question?
Oh, I'm sorry. Let me stay here.
And where would, the signage be? Because normally you'd have to have a.
Yes,
Through the black circles that you see there.
yeah, so. I'm sorry if this is a little hard to see. There is some signage that goes in, and I'm gonna zoom out and. Show you what that is. So this is from again, this is PennDOT standards for raised crosswalks throughout the Commonwealth. So there's an advanced warning sign notifying vehicles that there is a raised pedestrian crosswalk coming. And then another one, this is very similar to, that mid-block crossing that we did near the playground there on Lawrence. Same type of signage, so. So I think, especially that fluorescent green that you see everywhere, that does really catch your attention. This is draft, there is a draft stamp. There's a couple things that we have to look at. Stormwater with any speed bump, speed hump, any kind of traffic calming feature, we want to make sure that we're not stopping water and ponding it. So, we know the road slopes from right to left this way, and we have the potential to catch stormwater there. We will have to figure out a way to manage that. So, that's part of the draft status. So we just haven't, fully engineered that out yet.
What we're doing, we're good there.
Yeah, okay, and then moving down to Winco, and this is something that could be incorporated with the resurfacing there.
Yes.
Sorry, pulling this a little funny here. So just a new striped canopy crosswalk, stop bar 4 feet back, and the double yellow there. And this pedestrian crossing here is interesting. And I can appreciate how challenging it would have been to fit it. Sometimes we like to see them closer to the road. In this case, the crosswalk was built at the narrowest point, so the pedestrians in the road, for the least amount of time. It's 24 feet wide right here. You're almost 50 feet wide here, so it is a significantly longer stretch in the highway. So I think for now we work with what we have, and it's a shorter crosswalk, which is also desirable. Yeah.
I like it. This isn't really, I guess, a question for you, but she had also mentioned about it being dark when the woman that was here earlier. And I know that we had replaced different lights around the borough.
Yes.
Were they ones that were replaced recently, or are they in the time frame of being replaced?
At the corners of, at most of the intersections, when we do LED lights on the corner of Ryder and the one in the middle of the block. And the one that we had at the corner of blocks around them with extra shades on.
Yeah.
So that one part, yeah.
That's what it was?
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, get the consortium to. I can have the consortium check and make sure, but usually they're like 38 in the inner block or 38 and at the corner they're ready to fit the floor on the. So.
Yeah, I was wondering.
And they do.
She said, and I was also
And
thinking.
they have a lot of trees in that area too.
Yeah, and I was wondering like if there was something like, not a shade on it, but I was wondering if it was like kind of where it was, and it was a little bit darker.
Yeah. But that was the first I had heard of it. I'm gonna drive through there on the way home since it's nice and dark right now.
Another thought I had is that would contribute to safety before and after school, because although Summit doesn't border the school, there are kids walking to and from, because, you know, it's walking to school, and so having a crosswalk there, even if there isn't a crossing guard. I think there's a crossing guard out there, Summit and Walnut, but not
anything else.
There's one at Summit and Highland, I don't know if it's the main either. Yeah.
They come back from the school.
So, but that, you know, that would help as the
good point.
plans.
Yeah, that's one of the challenges here. I mean, this is not looked at as a mid-block crossing because it is an intersection of two highways. The pedestrian crosswalks are clearly regulated, you know, in PA code there, but I think, you know, some, you know, visual enhancements are definitely make sense here. That said, you still have to look both ways and make sure that people are actually yielding to you as they are required to by the law, which and so, you know, use caution getting across, so.
I like that. Hopefully we can get some, hopefully the county will like it too. Want to give us a bunch of money. for it.
Thank you for the effort you put in.
People all over the county use it over their own collection.
I know. True.
Question, George, I think earlier you said about 4 locations. Yeah, maybe the job price, it's just.
Yeah, we'll want 4 locations so that we're completely around the borough. We have a second one, I believe it's on here. D on the agenda, no, H.
Bernie.
Vernon and Vista. We've been looking at that for traffic and did you get a chance to look at it pedestrian wise?
Not yet,
Yeah.
but we do have some.
The county's feedback on it was you want to add more pedestrian aspects to this before you put it in the grant application. So we're looking at it for handicap ramps and pedestrian crossings of it that we're going to enhance them at that intersection and make it more safe.
Kind of thick too.
But we do have the.
Sure.
Yes, please. We do have what Mark has worked on, and it went through planning commission. It's been at committee. We've talked about it a while, but we're working on this for the 25. And Mark, go ahead.
Yeah. So-
Vernon and Vista.
Vernon and Vista.
Vernon and Vista, yeah, here, I'm sorry, let me just step back out. So it is, you know, not your typical intersection. And the complaint we got originally was a lot of people are traveling from the left to the right and then making the right turn.
Really needed that draft across it.
Making the right turn right through here. So, you know, the philosophy here was let's narrow that down. Let's get some one-way signs and do not enter signs, highlight the restriction. It's not obvious when you're out there today that it's supposed to function like that. Some pavement markings to assist.
Mark, can I show you how I walk?
Sure.
Sorry. So. So I live up here and I walk on the sidewalk here. And then I cut across, I just keep going straight because I want to keep going
right
up the west side of the street. So like this is where I'm constantly like, where this car is right there is where I'm constantly like.
Almost died.
I basically, I take a car coming, I walk across over here, it's just kind of,
Yeah.
it's not a good pedestrian spot, so.
Agreed,
I don't know how
yeah.
you solve that, but I just wanted to share with you.
Yeah, and that's
Yeah, you would continue on the sidewalk and go across the crossing where the arrow. You're supposed to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There is an existing crossing here. But, you know, with some of the feedback we just got from the county, I'm gonna take another look at this and see where else we
And
can.
there's one there, right?
One across, there's one
Right,
across.
there's one right. Right here also, right?
There's one up there where he calls it.
And there's,
That's this direction right here, right? Yeah.
that's what's there now.
Yeah.
So that provides the connectivity, but it's hard to see as a driver, you know, you don't pick up on the visual cues. So I think there's some, you know, some low cost tricks that can be done to.
So our initial plan here had the curb bump out on that round corner that you see at the bottom by the two yellow lines. To extend that, as he said, if you're coming up Vernon, it's clear that you're making a left there. If you're coming up Vista, you're not gonna make a right in there. There's gonna be do not enter signs. Gonna be that stop bar on the ground. And you will continue up Vernon, which is one way in the direction you're heading. So people won't go in Vernon the wrong way anymore. So that bump out with the curb. We'll be doing the crosswalks and the piano keys. If the ramps need upgraded, we would do that. But the signage would be the big, the fluorescent signage.
So that bump out, that connection to the teardrop, right?
This, let me zoom in, make sure I'm.
It's across from the teardrop. It doesn't connect to it.
Oh, it doesn't.
So there you go. No, it's 16 feet off of
I
the,
think it's
Pollinator garden.
9:36. We need to keep this meeting.
it leaves a travel lane. If you're coming up Vernon, that you can make a left onto Vista.
Right, you can make a left.
That's all you can do.
Yeah. So do we need to make a decision about this and move it forward, or are we, where,
This was just informational, just information. Okay,
It's just
I like-
informational tonight.
Great, okay,
okay,
love it, let's go, let's bring it back.
Third place is gonna be Walnut and Washington. I'm
Let's talk
sorry.
about that one on another
Okay.
night. Can we do that? We're still in public safety. And we still
When I started.
now we have to talk about Cotman Street and Nice Avenue.
Right.
Okay.
The truck traffic vehicle concern.
well, I think
Gentleman
the chief
earlier.
had a good solution
I
to
think
that, I can't remember what
the
it
chief
was,
has
but
it all
it made
covered.
sense.
Yeah,
Yes.
We
You're-
need to just update the ordinance to include Cotman Street,
That would be great.
Now,
on
when you
Ninth
say
Street.
common, you mean all of Cotton?
all of Cotton. And
Well-
all of Nice.
I don't think you all got.
Well, if you say that there wouldn't be any heavy truck traffic, you have a lot of trucks coming out of the park.
Well, that's why I stand corrected. George is right. Only the 300 block of Cotton.
Okay, thank you.
The 300 block of Cotton and the whatever block of Nice.
It's all, someone tells you you're right.
and maybe also, maybe we can see if we can have some officers spend a little more time on,
We've already addressed that.
okay, awesome.
And we just talked about this.
Okay, we just talked about this in Vernon. 2025 Interceptor Explorer replacement vehicle. We are going to I'll make a motion to move to full council the authorization for borough manager to move forward. Process of the plan 2025 purchase of the police vehicle. Second. In your second, is there any questions or concerns? We've been talking about this one for a while. Okay, all in favor?
Thank you.
Please report a unanimous vote. Let me just see if there's any updates. For the ongoing, did you have a multi-municipal coordination meeting with PennDOT? No, so no news there. And it looks like the traffic light upgrade to Runnymede and Walnut Street, the right of way discussions with the affected property owner will be scheduled. Correct? Okay,
That's correct.
fantastic. That's all I've got for public safety. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you, Public Works.
Tim, are you sorry you said it's dead? The paving project of Walnut Street from Washington Lane to Greenwood Avenue, you have a bid that we're working on, right?
We do.
Okay,
Yeah, so the low bid was the same bidder, $147,777.
great.
So
Okay.
our award recommendation will be submitted for council meeting next week.
Wonderful.
All right,
And it will include speed pillows
yes,
on Walnut Street, of course, to replace the existing speed humps. Okay, and then so the next thing is about the CDBG grant for ADA curb ramps. And we want to move to full council and authorization to award a waiver and an award and waiver of a 30-day RCO waiting period. So I move that.
Second.
All those in favor?
I,
Okay.
thank you.
Thank you. And Pico gas main replacement on Wincode Road is completed. York Road is doing night work. Homestead to Rydell. I don't know, have they started there?
Yes.
Did they?
They're up to, they're past Rydell now, right?
Yeah, they're approaching Hillside going down to the
They're
church.
really moving.
Ripping on south, outside.
Mhm.
I don't know.
can I just say they're doing a great job? Like, keep, like, they work at night. And so I walk early in the morning, so I certainly, but.
It's good to hear.
Paving repairs to Town Square and other Borough Hall lots. Is that upcoming?
Yes, we marked out a couple areas out here in the Borough Hall and lot, and we have an area over in Town Square as you're pulling off of Leadham. That is, it's
Oh,
in
yeah.
bad shape.
Yeah.
And Jim, I believe you marked them up already, and we have two pavers coming and giving us quotes. But they both need to be addressed before the winter.
Great. And concrete apron repairs on Harper.
That is the borough's apron. There's a right of way. If you leave Borough Hall or Borough Public Works Yard, there's a driveway that goes out the back. Well, it's used by an easement by a homeowner or a dentist. And the concrete's busted up and in bad shape. We got 3 quotes. I'll be quick with this story, but the first quote was 1,900. And I said, that's way too much money, Jim. You need 3 quotes. And the next one was like 29 and the next one was 35. It's like, everything just seems so expensive nowadays. But it's $1,900 to fix and I believe he's scheduled, right?
Yeah, we got a schedule, cause the driveway, you won't be able to drive on it.
Right.
So we're gonna schedule it the Friday before Veterans Day. Downstairs, 2 public works trucks upstairs for emergency use, but that way we have it Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and Monday, nobody driving on it. And
No, that's great.
we have it scheduled with the guys.
Thank you, Jim.
Thank you very much. And then the 2018 DCD grant Cedar to Walnut Stormwater, the work is complete. Oh my gosh, we need a party there. Everybody at Maureen's house. I did have a question for block party, so.
Good.
And then an ongoing pedestrian accessible crossing of Washington Lane. I know that's project has to do with the grocery store. Is that correct?
That is correct.
You have an update about it or?
Yeah, but Christian might hold it against me.
It's late to be discussing it. Is there a
We're working,
decision?
the Cedar Street's come along fine, that crossing. The one at Walnut Street was proposed to be a raised crossing. And that's what we're trying to accomplish. We marked it all the work for drainage. It would to have a little bit of a bump out on Walnut so that it would go straight across. Everything can work. The one last thing that we're looking into is a scenario of an emergency fire, say a fire truck went up Walnut to make a right onto Washington Lane. They would go over that raised crosswalk or what would feel like a speed hump in the middle of that turn. And there's no model that could tell us that that's acceptable or it would work.
Okay,
And we're investigating that.
okay. I hope so, because I think that's gonna be a really significant crossing and it really.
We do too, and that's why
Bye, Jay.
Mark stayed on it.
No, Jason, stays out.
Bye, Jay.
Bye.
Well, thank you. We'll look forward to more updates. The 2024 PADEP 902 grant, cycle 62 application for which lidded toters. We're still waiting to hear on that grant. Greenwood and Washington Lane, phase 2 of the Jenkintown Abington Connections Project. I understand there's a ribbon cutting tomorrow, which I was told about this morning. So I don't know. Is anyone going? Great. I wish we had had a little bit sooner.
I heard about that.
notification About it. And the SEPTA flood mitigation stream restoration project, is that continuing?
They continue to work there,
Okay. Newbold and Vernon, the proposed bike share lanes, haven't heard anything about them.
yeah. No updates on that.
And no updates about Noble Bridge unless.
Well, we
Mark-
did have an update and we're actually putting something together.
Go get out.
Website, I was provided a lot of information by
Wow.
Mark. We're using PennDOT's links, but they have the planned detour up there. They have the map, the plan of it, and the dates that they are giving us now. What do you have?
I can flush it up real quick. Yeah, the dates, the earliest it would be bid is spring of 2025. The bulk
Okay.
of the construction will not start until 2026.
Oh,
That's at the earliest.
okay.
So
Okay.
work.
That's good.
Bridge makes sense.
Yeah.
Thank you, sir.
We have a bedding pool.
They have planned detours and likely detours.
No.
We have planned detours and then we have the detours that they think people will. experience.
It's not easy.
And then the proposed line striping, again, pending.
So, yeah, like the one space two that we wanna do, we're waiting to see the full back along the cover where they need.
Okay, all right. Any questions or comments? That's it.
All right, let's adjourn this meeting.
Good night. Good night. Here. So I didn't grab
Down, down. Two.
No problem, Pete. I did not, I saw it, but I did not.
The director.
It's. That's right. But it's not.
That's
Very spot.